Hi, this is Doug Manch, and you're listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 174, and you're with your High Priest of Khonshu Rey. G'day, g'day. And we are covering an other side of the moon tonight. So if you look into the night sky, you will see a waxing Gibbous and Khonshu decrees that we do another side of the moon. Typically, that really is Moon Knight in any sort of comic other than his own. So we've got a little special one tonight. You can't get any more brief and any more fleeting than this. But before that, so we'll be doing Avengers Annual Volume 4, Issue 1. And joining me on this adventure, this very strange adventure, is guest co-host. He is the co-host of the Quantum Zone, a Quasar podcast. Also, one of the hosts of Yale and Matt Recap on YouTube. He's a stand-up comedian, and he's an Isla alumni. A big welcome to Matt Clippers Kona. Matt, welcome back to the show.
Hey, pause for applause. Thank you, Loonies. Thank you, Patronies. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Australia. I know you can listen to this anywhere but Australia, or anywhere, including Australia. But in short, hello.
Yeah,
I'm doing good.
Good. It's typically is it an American thing as well? Basically, in Australia, we always greet people with "How you going?" Do they do that in the US? I know it sounds very ignorant, but do you greet people with "How you going"?
Not quite. We usually say "How you doing?" or "How's it going?" or "How's it going?"
Okay.
I like how's it going. How you going is pretty good too. I like it because it's just different enough to be like, oh, what if I start saying how you going here, and maybe people will pick up on that. Like, you ever learn, like, if you're traveling somewhere and you learn a bit of slang, and then you try to bring it back to your place and incorporate it? Have you ever tried that, Ray? Because I have.
I may have. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but you have from other.
I got an example, and I'll share it. It didn't work out, but I was visiting a friend in my formative years. I was probably 14 years old or something. I visited my friend in upstate New York, which isn't terribly far from Massachusetts, where I'm recording, and all of my buddy's friends over there were using the same adjective. They would call things butter, and it would mean several things. Mostly it just meant like, that's cool. Like that podcast that Ray does, that end of the night, that's butter.
Like
that's
butter as in the spreadable, like butter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I thought I would try to bring that back, and my friends in Massachusetts didn't really catch on to it. They're like, what are you saying butter for? Butter.
Oh, no, it kind of fizzled.
That's my butter melted. Yeah.
Oh, no. Makes a fate worse than that. Yeah. No, look, you remind me of Joey from Friends when you say, how you going?
How you going?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only reason why I ask is because, I'm not sure whether it was said in the US, because my partner Eve, she's from the Netherlands, and when we were first kind of going out, I'd always greet her with "How you going?" and she'd literally take time to think about it and give me an informative response each time. And be like, no, I just want to say hello. So exactly.
Well, that's also a very when you ask someone how you doing, and then they answer you, it's always like, oh no, this could be heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying hi.
Well, I know. What are you getting yourself into? I don't know, but but Patronies and Loonies, a big welcome to Matt as well. Some of you may know and recognise him if you haven't listened to the Quantum Zone before as well. Matt has been on here doing an Isle of Ra. We had a lot of fun doing your 4 books, Matt. They were quite varied. I certainly enjoyed the it was the Superman one. It was the end of. Was it the Death of Superman or the Reign? That was pretty cool. And the Thor one was
the Reign of the Superman.
Yeah. So many cool ones that you must have gotten a bit of slack from your co-hosts for not picking a Quasar comic though.
Well, yeah, I had a great time doing that Isle of Ra. Go back and listen to it if you haven't. But yes, I had 2 of my co-hosts for the Quantum Zone do their separate episodes. Phil before me, Will after me. And I think that I don't remember Phil's book, so I'm sure he picked up Quasar one. I didn't pick a Quasar one. I didn't want to muddy the waters too much. But plus, if I was on a desert island, it's probably like we've almost talked about every single issue of the standalone Quasar comic. So I feel like those are fresh enough in my mind that I don't need to read them on paper. Most of the things that I picked were like very nostalgic childhood issues. But
that's fair enough. I mean, I think Will was the only one. And Phil, no, he neglected it. He picked what, Captain America, I think, Daredevil.
Oh, right.
Yeah, a Batman and something else. I can't remember. But Will had the big issue 25, I think it was. So that was cool. That was one. I think that was is it 25 the last part of Cosmos and Collision, which you'd know is a fantastic issue.
Yeah. So Will, when he did his episode, and I enjoyed both Phil and Will's because I like that you get to know the people a little bit more besides just the comic. And Will, I mean, I learned a lot about both of my co-hosts from that, but I really liked Will's because he has a weekly email list, and he kind of was. He was prepared. He was doing a way better job of promoting it. It was like a month-long build-up for when you guys got together. And then, like, after he recorded it, he even talked about his alternates and like why he picked some stuff. And but it was good. But he didn't scoop you. He left plenty of good stuff for the podcast. But.
No, for sure, no, it was great. And I read his the Midnight Hour, his newsletter as well, and it was really cool going through all his runner-ups as well. I mean, like, he goes into a lot more depth in the newsletter, but I mean, we of course focus on his top 4. But there's Matt.
I'm sorry, I haven't used Skype in a while. I didn't realize the video was on. I was in Lilith mode.
I'm old man Ray. I still use Skype. I don't use this newfangled StreamYards like Phil does. So
hey, I'm fine. I'm fine with whatever. I'm a bit of a Luddite too. I know I have Skype, but I just hadn't used it in a while.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it is no longer the trailblazing program that we all know and love, but it still works sometimes. So I'm happy with that. Just a quick shout, actually a big shout out. I wanted to give a shout out to our Patronies, of course, our gracious Patronies. They're credited as co-producers and executive producers on each of our episodes. They've been contributing on Patreon, so a big thank you to them. A huge thank you to a new Patroni, a new Patreon member. So I want to shout out to Danielle Doing. He's our new executive producer as well. He's picked a Spectre tier on our Patreon page, so a huge thank you, Daniel. Your generosity, it's amazing. We can do a lot more with the stuff. I can start getting a plan for StreamYard, stuff like that. So a big thank you, Daniel, but also a huge thanks to all the others: Dustin, Justin, Derek, Wayne, Jordan, Josh, James, Russell, and Anthony. You guys help keep the lights on. It's always good. Also as well, Hello Headphones, empowering gamers to play at their best, and Dreamland Comics, the superhero superstore, much appreciated sponsors of the show. So anyway, Matt, we are, as I mentioned, we're going to do this Other Side of the Moon, which is really, I don't think you get any less Moon Knight in this, apart from like him not being in it at all. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is kind of like moon dust blown away into the windless vacuum of space. Somehow blown away.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, it makes the criteria. Moon Knight is in the comic. I don't think we'll be spending too much time on the characterization of Moon Knight and his impact in the story, but it's a funny excuse anyway to go through this. This is a big event by Brian Michael Bendis. It's the Revengers. It's kind of like Avenger versus Avenger, so to speak. Simon Williams, are you familiar with Wonder Man? Do you like his stuff?
I am a big fan of Wonder Man. I was a massive fan of his '90s comic, and I think that I wasn't super aware of him as a character before that. I feel like I'd always seen him around, but I wanted to be like Wonder Man. That's just like Wonder Woman. That's like DC and Marvel ripping each other up. What's going on? But so I wanted to not like him. I don't know. He was like a big jock, but I think I picked up the issue because there was a guest star that I liked on it. I forget. It was in the single digits of the early issues. Mm-hmm. And I just remember really connecting with the character. This is the guy he's trying to make it as an actor or a stuntman, or less than a stuntman, more an actor. And, he's dealing with real life problems, I guess, real life celebrity trying to break through problems. So I always liked that. And I thought it was I think it was only about 28 or maybe 30 issues, but good art, fun stories. So I'm a Wonder Man fan. Yeah, but I've fallen out for the last few years. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's been given his just desserts in the fact of being exposed too much. The last I saw of, he's been in Uncanny Avengers as well. He's got that rapport with Beast. We'll kind of touch upon that in this annual. He's apparently, from what I gathered in the No Road Home or No Surrender arc in the Avengers, he's turned into a pacifist, which is really weird. Yeah. But I really loved that '90s series actually as well. It was very different compared to a lot of other titles at the time, and he's just kind of fun. In this annual, we'll see he's taken a bit of a darker turn. Bendis has done his Bendis-y thing on it. It'll be interesting. I'm keen to get your thoughts on this annual, but we'll get to that, loonies. Before that, I just wanted a couple of really short bits of white noise of our news. I did a little scan, again, a lot of garbage, Matt. Nothing much to really write home about. Mainly from Screen Rant. I think one of the loonies put this up as well on Discord. There was this another comparison between Moon Knight and, the other guy in DC who's stronger. I can't say I even went through it. I tried to, but there was just a lot of waffle in it, so I just decided to let that go. And again, from Screen Rant, they're not doing themselves any favors. There was an article on the top 10 runs of Moon Knight that could make its way into the TV show. Now, Matt, I'd like to get your take first. I'm assuming you'll be watching the Moon Knight TV show.
Of course.
How would you like to see it? Like, what would you expect, or what would you like to see in the show when you see the first episode?
Well, I think that it's in terms of like, I'm not totally sure what to expect, because when certain, I don't want to say limitations, but when that it's going to be on a Disney Plus platform, you figure that it probably won't have the same levels of grittiness as, say, The Punisher or the Daredevil, even Netflix shows. But I feel like they could push some things, because there's some things of Mandalorian where you're like, oh, okay, it happened off screen, but I think that guy just got beheaded and by the main character that everyone's behind. Yeah. But okay. Yeah. So what I would like to see is, I don't know. I don't want to be in a get my cake and eat it situation too. but I feel like it should be dark, but not super dark. But at the same time, I don't want it to be super dark, not because of the platform that it's on, whether it's Disney Plus or whatever. But I feel like they could get through the origin and get people who are unfamiliar with Moon Knight established pretty early, and then have a kind of fun show. And I don't know, I assume it's going to be one of those like season-long arcs, but I feel like they could have miniature things within that, couple episode chunks. That's one storyline, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
I had a long answer, not a lot of guesses.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I mean, it's really hard to tell. I love to speculate about it as well. This article on Screen Rant, they literally go through, I think they cover all the bases. Like, there's a top 10, but they pretty much go through all the volumes. So, again, a little bit of ridiculous, article writing from Screen Rant. I mean, you might as well just say everything. But, one thing, probably I'm not sure if you're aware of, Matt, as well, I think they're thinking of doing about 6 to 8 episodes. So it's going to be pretty short, similar to The Mandalorian. I heard somewhere they might go 6, where The Mandalorian's 8. So we're even talking even more truncated. I'd love to see an origin, but yeah, as you say, I wouldn't want... It might have to cover a couple of episodes. I wouldn't want to see it go on too long, because we've only got a short amount of time in it. So I guess we'll have to see how WandaVision is as well, and see how they pace that, and that will probably be, I reckon, how they'll do Moon Knight. One of the other things I wanted to just raise as well before I forget, a shout out to Looney, Raymond Strong as well. He posted it up. There is a little bit of a tidbit. Again, I'm not sure what is rumor and what is real, but apparently the costume's going to be silver rather than just pure white. So interesting to see. I guess we won't get a Mr. Knight unless he's all in silver, like the guy in the suit. that's going to be a bit weird.
Yeah.
But interesting. I don't know. I guess we'll see. It could be the Warren Ellis 6-issue arc. It could be each of the episodes could be one of the issues. I mean, so we'll have to kind of wait and see. But anyway, that article was just not worth. I'm not even going to put these on the show notes, because I thought
it's one of those articles that just doesn't tell you anything. Just reminds you, okay, these are runs. These are just trying to get clicks. It could be anything. You have no information. So.
Exactly. And if anything, it was a nice springboard for me to actually ask you, because I'm keen to hear your thoughts on it. It was just an excuse to really ask you what you thought of the show coming up. But yeah, there you go. I mean, yeah. 6
episodes, though. That's not a lot of time. So I guess they gotta, if they're gonna do, I don't know. Like, you raise a good point. Is it going to be, if they do the origin, which I feel like they have to do a little bit of, unless the whole beginning is just acting as like a sort of like a last season on Moon Knight, it just tells you everything about him, even though there was no last season. Or they just kind of get right into it, and maybe they do like flashbacks to bring you up to speed. But
or maybe the whole season. What if the whole season's just the origin? That would be a little disappointing.
That's the thing.
You wait the whole, kind of like Daredevil, with the last episode you finally see the suit. I'd be a little disappointed in that, but I'd still be happy to have the show.
Right.
So also as well, you talked about The Mandalorian. I just wanted to quickly say I finally, just literally before we started recording, I finally caught up on the 4 episodes. I'm loving it. I don't know about you. Are you watching it?
I am. I'm also caught up. I had. I'll wait a couple weeks so I can watch 2 back to back.
Yep.
And but the first 4 at the time of this recording have been pretty solid.
Yeah, I'd say
little
they're not too
adventures.
Yeah, they're not too long as well. I mean, I can see why you do back to back, because I did 2 episodes just before we recorded, and that was only about 70 minutes or 75 minutes. It's not. They're about 35 to 40 minute long episodes. They're not that long. So,
true.
I love it. I think it harks back to the old classic action shows, because it's dead simple. You know, there's no bells and whistles. Each episode is kind of self-contained with a little bit of an arc.
Right.
I love it. It's kind of like he meets different people every week, and so anyway, I just wanted to say that. And you're talking about the violence on that. I mean, the one I saw, this is not going to be any spoilers, but there's in the fourth episode, they go up against not only the stormtroopers, but the guys on, what do you call them? The guys on the hover cycles or whatever they are. Yeah, and one of them gets blown away with a full-on battle cannon. So it's it can be pretty extreme, and you just see it's his helmet, but I like to think it's his head as well, just rolling off the top of the turret.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. And like the jetpack thing too.
Yes.
Like the guy getting set up in the jetpack.
Oh yeah. And he goes,
okay, that guy's not alive anymore.
No,
right?
That's right. Very fun. I think they can easily do that sort of stuff for Moon Knight, and it'd still be kind of, if you want that darkish kind of tinge, you still kind of get it.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways,
they're gonna. I feel like I trust them to do a good job.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of speculation as we get to it, but
yeah, it'll be a while as well. I mean, apparently.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they'll start production and stuff next year, so we'll start to get fed little breadcrumbs as we go. Yeah. But speaking of dark, Matt, I think we should get into this non-Moon Knight / Moon Knight issue of Avengers.
It's more of a Doctor Strange issue. No.
Well, he kind of. Oh, actually, okay. I'm going to ask you some questions.
He comes in late.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you some questions when we get into it, because there's a few questions here. Anyway, Loonies, we're going to get into our. Hang on, why don't we just take a quick break then? Let's get ourselves ready. I'm going to have a slurp of some water. When we get back, we're going to get into our other side of the moon. So catch you then.
Tell me his name again.
Thanos.
I think I shall call him Adam.
But return to me again empty-handed, and I will bathe the Starways in your blood.
Thanks, Dad. Sounds fair.
Korvac's power grows, as does his madness. He would have destroyed us all, had I not pulled us into the Soul Gem.
Then Thanos, I'm coming for you.
After Xandar, you were going to kill my father?
You dared to oppose me.
You see what he has turned me into. You kill him, I will help you destroy 1,000 planets.
It's all right, Adam. We're here to help. Just stay cool. I don't want to be here!
Resurrections, an Adam Warlock and Thanos podcast. 5 years and going strong. Every other week. Mostly. For all of your Adam Warlock, Thanos, or Marvel cosmic needs. Find it on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, and wherever else podcasts are available. ResurrectionsAdamWarlock.tumblr.com.
Yes, welcome back, Looney listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 174. I am joined by Matt Clippers Kona. Matt, I do call you Clippers. I don't know if you remember that reference. It is from your Isla Ra, talking about coupon clippers. Yeah.
Coupon Clippers Digest.
That's it.
My old, my first television show.
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's pretty apt as well because, clippers as in haircut and stuff. And, let's just say you aren't lacking.
I need.
Yeah, you aren't lacking hair. Let's just say that. So.
I have clippers, and they have dust on them.
Well, yes, welcome back, Looney listeners. We are both here, as we mentioned at the top of the show. We're going to do an other side of the moon, as mentioned, waxing gibbous in the sky. Have a look, and that's why we're doing this. And we are doing Avengers Annual Volume 4, Issue 1. Now, this was released in January 2012. Now, for the listeners that haven't listened to us before or are unaware, what Matt and I will do is that we'll just read you some really riveting details and credits of the comic, followed by a bare bones or a synopsis. We like to call it a bare bones, giving you a summary of the comic just in case you haven't read it, and you actually then know what we're going to talk about. And then Matt and I will just then expound on any points that we see fit to, with this comic. It can do with writing, art, themes, characterizations, or any references to any other runs or issues. And we'll cap it off with a moon rating. Now, Matt, as well, I always ask, we have two rating systems. We've got the vanilla rating system out of Phases of the Moon, or we have Khonshu's patented rating system. Which one do you, which would take your fancy?
Well, I like the Khonshu's is a little bit more colorful, and with less decimal points too, which is
yeah, you're right. Alrighty, well you go
Connor. I'll use Connor shoes.
Okay,
Connor shoes.
Okay, Matt's got Connor shoes. I'll go the old vanilla stock standard. Anyway, so as I mentioned, released January 2012. We have writer Brian Michael Bendis, no stranger to us loonies. Penciler Gabriele Dell'Otto, inker Gabriele Dell'Otto as well. Colourist Ive Svorcina, letterer Cory, Petit, and editor Tom Brevoort. Now, this is available as well on floppy format, so you can go buy yourself it from a bargain bin or from a collector or such. It's also digitally available both as a single issue and in a collection. So the collection is Avengers by Brian Michael Bendis, the complete collection, Volume 1. It's also on Marvel Unlimited, that's how I read it, and it's also in trade as the aforementioned complete collection, Volume 1 by Brian Michael Bendis. So, so if Matt would be so kind as to nudge, nudge, wink, wink, kick us off with the bare bones.
All right. Well, previously on... No, there was no previously on. This is the first annual of this. But break it down for you. Mere seconds into Simon Williams and his Revengers... mere seconds after Simon Williams and his Avengers devastate the new Avengers, Commander Steve Rogers receives a video feed of the attack. When he recognizes Williams, Wonder Man, he quietly puts out an all-Avengers alert. Arriving in a Quinjet, the gathered Avengers are shocked at the sight of their teammates brought low. As the injured heroes struggle to dig themselves out, they tell Rogers, Thor, and Iron Man that Simon Williams attacked them with every intention of beating them into the ground. Iron Man and Thor admit he's made threats before, but they have never believed he would go through with it. Luke Cage and Jessica Jones find Danielle unharmed in her nanny's arms, though Squirrel Girl needs assurance that she did the right thing by staying out of the fight. Then Jessica looks up to see Atlas wrecking Avengers Tower. The Avengers, Secret Avengers, and those new Avengers who are able to fight rush to the scene, but they find the damage minimal and the building empty. Atlas's attack was merely a decoy to give Williams time to call a press conference. When the Avengers arrive, they find him holding forth on his steps of the public library in New York, telling a large crowd that the Avengers have been operating in secret for too long and must be held to account. He threatens to make all their crimes public unless they disband. The Avengers order him to stand down, but he's defiant. I don't acknowledge your authority over me. You'll kill me to cover up the truth. You'll let these people burn to protect our sheets.
As we continue on, Iron Man tries to talk Williams down, but when that fails, he releases a sphere from a hidden compartment in his armor, trapping Williams' ionic form within. The rest of the Avengers are given the option to surrender. Atlas refuses, gambling that the Avengers won't dare to attack with so many civilians around. They are right. The Avengers teleport them to an empty city field instead, where the combined forces of all three teams make short work of their opponents. In custody, the Avengers share their grievances. Their reasons vary from vengeance, Goliath, Ethan Edwards, to wounded pride, Captain Ultra, Devil Slayer, Atlas, to a simple conviction that Williams is in the right and the Avengers are in the wrong. That's from Anti-Venom. Beast, who has seemed to be most hurt and mystified by Williams' behaviour, goes to interview him while Rogers, Iron Man and Thor watch by video feed. Williams insists that he is acting of his own free will and remains steadfast in his claim that the Avengers must disband before more people are hurt. He also adds something new, his realization that Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, created him, that he probably isn't even real. Appealing to their friendship, Williams tries to extract a promise from Beast to shut the Avengers down when he realizes that Williams is in the right, but a distressed Beast walks away. Various news programs and talking heads are buzzing about the Avengers' lack of transparency and stonewalling tactics. Some openly speculate that the time for a self-appointed hero team is over and done. In his bubble, Simon Williams smiles and vanishes into a white light. So there you go, loonies. That was the bare bones courtesy of Wiki for Avengers Annual Volume 4 Issue 1. Now, Matt, overall impressions. I always forget to state this in the format of it. What was your overall impressions of this issue?
I thought that, so I had not read this run that's collected in the Avengers collection, this Bendis run. So I kind of just picked up the issue like as if I had just picked it up off the newsstand at the grocery store. And obviously it's you're kind of in the middle of things. I don't know. See, I like. Well, let me just back up before I go off on my own ramblings. I love annuals because that was a big thing in the 90s. They cost a little bit more, but they had a lot in them. Although I never always got the annuals from every book that would kind of connect, and I feel like this has some connective tissue with the other Avengers annuals. So I liked it enough that it piqued my interest, that I wanted to see what happened before and possibly afterwards. So I found something before a new Avengers annual. But I don't know, I like the story. I kind of wish that we saw more from the other characters that were kind of part of the devastation in the beginning. They were almost credited like you were going to. So like the beginning of the issue, almost like a table of contents, they show all the different Avengers. And so you're like, oh, wow, this is going to be a star-studded issue. And it is in some ways, but it's not as much as it's billed to be in the beginning. But
yeah, I think so. Basically, that pretty much sums up kind of my thoughts as well of it. It's got this thing with, like, I enjoyed it to see all the characters in there, like from Bendis. I don't know how groundbreaking this is though, Matt. This idea about them. I mean, didn't they just go through? This is 2012. Didn't they went through like Civil War already? This is more like in-house fighting. And yeah, I don't know. And one of the big things I find kind of a common thread with Bendis is this whole thing about I don't know, getting the media involved a lot. I mean, I see it with the Superman, like Bendis and Superman as well. He seems to, the way to kind of create this tension is to make these superheroes accountable within the, I guess, within the legal realm, but also in the media as well. He uses those a lot, I think. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Do you think that that's sort of like after Civil War? It's kind of a toothpaste out of the tube situation. I mean, not that the media wasn't being used in comic books like before that, but you feel like if it's something big like that, they have to show the hero activity represented in the media coverage.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like Bendis had a big handle of.
I mean, there's a lot of it. There's like he shows you 2 whole channels exclusive reporting stories at one point. It's like a big splash page of it.
Yeah. I'm trying to share this screen. I'm not sure if it's working for you, Matt.
No, I could see it.
Could you see it? Can you see it there now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. just for the viewers there, as well, from my Patronies. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess that is what has set the course of these, and they're kind of vulnerable to that all the time. I don't know. I just found I like Wonder Man in this. You know, I mean, I like Wonder Man the character in this. But the way he's portrayed in here, I don't know. They seem to be all shoehorned into this thing again. Maybe because in hindsight it's different, because we've seen a lot of this. You know, maybe when it was released, it's still kind of not groundbreaking, but still kind of entertaining stuff. But I mean, Bendis does his characterizations of some of the characters. I think are really cool. Like and Gabriele Dell'Otto's depiction of the Thing at the beginning. I mean, that's really cool. He draws him really well. He draws Wonder Man really well as well. Actually, you can't fault the art. I mean, there's that panel there with the Thing's face. You know, you can just imagine him kind of talking. But I don't know. There's some details here that I'm missing that hopefully you can fill here, Matt. So we're talking Wonder Man with his Revengers. They did all this. They beat Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Wolverine. Yeah. Did they do that? Like, how did that? They threw Luke Cage over into the Bronx or whatever. You know, yet later on they get pretty easily defeated by the Avengers. Is there an inconsistency there?
I think so. I mean, presumably this, for the readers of this current issue, they didn't see how everyone got thrashed about so badly. But yeah, that does. You did point out a bit of a loophole that comes later if they. Yeah.
Maybe
they get dispatched pretty easily.
Yeah, maybe it's the element of surprise. I guess didn't they? They blew up the mansion or something. I don't know. Again,
right? Yeah, they were just hanging out in the mansion, and then boom.
But again, this reminds me of is it Avengers Disassembled or something? Again, that was a Bendis run. Didn't they blow up the mansion as well? Is that where Hawkeye died? That was a storyline somewhere.
Yeah, I know that the mansion has been devastated maybe at least once a decade since the 70s at least. But I'm not familiar with the exact storyline that you're talking about, a recent one where Hawkeye dies. But
yeah, I don't know. If anything, I'm glad we got Moon Knight unscathed here. In this one panel, there's our boy Moon Knight. Oops, and
he looks good. He makes use of his time.
He does. His only lines are, "We just need to shut it down." Talking about the Avengers. Who the hell does the guy think he is? That's your Moon Knight there. He looks pretty cool, I must say. And
yeah, he looks like he's in better shape than Wolverine, who's kind of scuffed up and panting and stuff.
Yeah. But again, I think there's a real lack in continuity. This has just occurred to me, Matt, as well. I've just realised 2012 we're talking about. The same year, I do believe, that Bendis wrote Moon Knight, the 12-issue run. Moon Knight is in LA in that whole series. He fights Count Nefaria. He has a fling with Echo. Yet here he is with the Avengers. One of the things I really don't like about Marvel, how they just they're different like realities. You know what I mean? Like there's no attempt at continuity.
Right. It's almost like when people in the U.S. military, if you're in the military for a while, and then you complete your terms of service, but you still have to do like a couple weekends a year to go back and train to make sure you're still in shape. This is almost like he's living his life, but occasionally he gets pulled back into Avengers reserves duties where he just has to And then it just happens the one weekend he's there.
One weekend he's there. Just that.
The Revengers and Wonder Man just do it's sort of it's like a terrorist style attack.
It is.
Possibly, they're at rest and they're boom.
Yeah, I mean, there's also that as well. Like the media, again, I don't want to be. We should talk about some positive notes of this as well. But I guess while we're on it as well, Matt, you're talking about the Revengers acting like terrorists, and they kind of do. So I don't see how the media then all of a sudden they kind of attack the Avengers and Steve Rogers. Towards the end, there's all that kind of thing going. Is Steve Rogers accountable for it, or does he just use force to get what he wants? Should there be Avengers at all? But hang on, the Avengers haven't done anything wrong. Like Simon Williams is saying that, yeah, you've done more bad than good. Fair enough. But look what Simon Williams and the Avengers have done. They've blown up this. They blew up the tower. There's a lot of... If I was a civilian, I'd be pretty scared of them. I wouldn't be be lauding them as heroes, but...
Certainly not.
Yeah. Well, anyway, sorry, Matt. I'm sorry if I'm coming off a little aggressive here on this issue.
No, it's good. It's good to nitpick. You got to be sure.
It is. Well, I know. Let's go. What are some of the things that you did find quite enjoyable in this issue?
Well, I mean, I liked it. It's almost like when you're checking back with old friends. If you hadn't read for something for a while, and you're like, oh, okay, Thor's doing the whole big wings on the side of the helmet thing.
Yeah.
But clean shaven. He seems very forthright. You see characters that change, and then there's still things that are the same.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting this combination of. I like that kind of an odd combination of people. I know the Avengers have a pretty massive roster, but to see Luke Cage and Spider-Man all together, and Wolverine, I'm still not sure what he's doing, rolling with the Avengers, but and then Captain Marvel is there too.
Yeah.
So I like that, and I like the turn that they took with Wonder Man, and I mean it's unexpected. It's almost like the world of pro wrestling when a good guy turns into a heel. Like, where did this come from? Why is he? He is fully optimized into this way of thinking, and he made a big first impression. So. I like that. There's plenty of things that I like about this, but I also like a good nitpick, so I'm not afraid to jump on board and be like, yeah, why is that?
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, I do like Hawkeye's costume. I mean, you can see the back of his head over there. He's got more of the classic costume, which you don't see enough of, I think. Or it's like a modernized version of his costume.
Yeah,
I really like that. As you said, I like Thor in this. He's looking pretty cool in it. Luke Cage and Jessica Jones with Danielle. I think that was pretty cool. I didn't realize it was Squirrel Girl, the nanny, until we read the synopsis.
I didn't realize it was Squirrel Girl until I read the new part of the new Avengers annual that took place before this.
Okay. What? I'd love to see her in that.
I like Squirrel Girl, but I associate her with a more smaller statured person.
Right, yeah, for sure. And I can see a tail now. Yeah, she has a tail. Obviously, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't notice that before. Yeah. I was a little. It was a bit sweet and sour for me seeing D-Man, because love seeing him in Captain America, but he's kind of. I didn't really understand where he came from here. He must have been going cosmic or something. He was talking about the Grand Master or getting the Infinity Gems. So I don't know. Yes. I don't know what happened between then and the Mark Grunwald run, but he developed a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell if that was him. Like he's lost his mind, or if he's being sarcastic or something. But yeah, D-Man. For those of you who don't know, because we've talked about D-Man a lot on the Quantum Zone.
Yes.
he's a stuntman that got some juice, right? That sort of like steroids, and then kind of got off it and tried to just become a superhero by effectively dressing up like Wolverine, like a Wolverine era costume, which he doesn't keep up in this one. Which maybe because Wolverine is already in it, I don't know. But anyway, they want to stay away from that aspect of it. But yeah, I like D-Man, although they tell you, it stands for demolition.
Yes.
Which they weren't always like that. You're just like, it's D-Man. I don't know. It's got a D.
Yeah, and he was, I mean, when we saw him in that Grunwald run, he was kind of really, he's trying to find his trade, but he was kind of a caring guy. That's how I interpreted him as. He seems a little bit bitter here, but I guess, you know,
a little off the reservation.
Yeah, and I love the aesthetic, the way that Wonder Man is drawn. He just shows how powerful he is, and he is powerful. Like he's pure ionic energy. He can go toe to toe against Thor or the Hulk. So he's a massive player, although easily kind of countered by Iron Man with the smart tech. So he gets bubbleized or something. He gets put into a little
a quantum bubble, an Iron Man quantum bubble.
Yeah, a little.
There is a great splash page with that you just shared on the screen.
Yeah.
The page with Iron Man and Wonder Man sort of clashing.
Really good. I mean, they've clashed before as well. Like in the classic West Coast Avengers, there was a rivalry between them. There's Wonder Man was always kind of like, what is this East Coaster kind of doing, you know, in our team, that sort of thing. So there is a kind of a classic rivalry between them. I liked, I think I mentioned before, Bendis touches upon his mateship with Beast. So we see kind of towards the end, there's a little chat that they have, where Beast is trying to understand, because he's a mate, like they're good mates. But Simon Williams's beliefs, I think, are kind of turning him against Beast, and he's trying to convince Beast as well to kind of come onto his side. We see a more kind of feline Beast as well.
Right, it's definitely this is a vision of Beast that I'm not used to. Took a little getting used to.
Yeah.
He's a little bit more cowardly lion.
Yes.
Like, you know.
Yeah. I'm not the. I do prefer his more classic look, where he has the Wolverine hair and just, you know, the blue. Yeah. But what do you make of this? This was a big part in the story. It was Simon Williams talking about Wanda Maximoff and how he's, in essence, he's not really alive. He's been resurrected, but is he the real Simon Williams? You know, but he's also just made out of energy. I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, it kind of he almost is exploiting what is sort of like a loophole or something that readers have sort of just kind of glanced over. Like, oh yeah, Wonder Man was dead, and then he was brought back to life, and now everything's fine. He's on the Avengers. He's auditioning. It's great. But you know, if you stop and think about that, if you died and were brought back to life, and you had a memory of your death, like that would maybe mess you up a little bit inside the old noggin.
Yeah. No, I mean, and he's had enough dramas with that as well, of with his relationship with Wanda and Vision as well. There was a whole kind of got convoluted with his brainwaves or something, essentially being...
I mean, identity theft is just putting a toe in the water for this. This guy, he stole your bean, he stole your girl, he stole your death. Yeah.
So I mean, in that sense, I can see why he's kind of pissed. Why he would be pissed off. But his main motivation here is because the Avengers, basically, he keeps on saying that they do more bad than good, and they should be made accountable. Do you know from any of the extra readings that you've done, Matt, what he's referring to? Is he referring? Well, he refers to Wanda and to Janet as well. Van Dyne?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the what he's referring to specifically.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking that it's sort of like how it gets brought up in Civil War and some of the movies. Like you see massive battles take place, but you don't really take into account the devastation that it results in, whether it be casualties or just destruction of property and people's well-being and stuff.
Yeah.
So it could be that. It could be just be like a general sense of the Avengers are unregulated. Like they could go rogue. They could just do anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's sort of doing a bad example of talking down about that while he's in effect doing a very extreme variation of just that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, absolutely. Like he came. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that goes on with because I think he's the one that came up with that little bubble, right? I mean, that was Stark Tech, but they did refer to Beast coming up with that. And these reporters are saying, this Avenger piped up and then he's disappeared. This is kind of not fair. You know what I mean? Who are these Avengers? So I guess the whole build up for them being the threat is just I don't know. What did you make of the other villains? I didn't really know much more other than Anti-Venom or Anti-Toxin or whatever he was, and D-Man, but the others I didn't know who they were. Oh, Atlas I did. Sorry, Eric Jostin, but
yeah, same with me. I didn't know any of the other ones. I knew Anti-Venom just because I know he's one of the many symbiotes that have been around. I was a little bit confused when it said, is it Eddie Brock's son that's Anti-Venom? It just said Edward Brock.
Oh no,
who I've never seen Eddie Brock referred to as such.
Yeah,
but.
No, I think that I actually received a little comment from Orion, who hosts the We Are Venomaniacs podcasts, and he confirmed that is Eddie Brock. It's one of the few appearances of Eddie Brock as Anti-Venom. So,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, so I guess Bendis has just given him his full name. Goliath as well. I know of Bill Foster. I'm not too versed in Tom, the son.
Yeah.
But then there's a Century. I have no idea who that person was. Captain Ultra, Virtue, Devil Slayer. If Phil, the Dropkin Phil, is listening to this, he would probably know who these people are. I can say, or Will. Will probably would know as well.
Well, Will would know their first appearances, and
but
I also didn't know who Maria Hill was, and I know she's more of on like the hero side, but I feel like she's at least in the new Last 10 Years character.
Oh no, she's she's not. I don't think she's old, but she was in the Avengers movie. She's played by Kobe Smulders.
Okay.
She becomes a director of S.H.I.E.L.D. at some point as well. She's usually the second in command to Nick Fury. But yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think she's...
So maybe I know her, I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I was just surprised to see her listed in the credits in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, again, she like Moon Knight gets...
I mean, Moon Knight is too.
I know, it gets a one panel, so... so I mean, there was good action here. I guess it was fun that we saw Thor and everyone else. It's good to say Spider-Woman, she's in there as well, Spider-Man. But the cast, there's a huge cast of them. So when they fight at that city field, it's all kind of a bit of a blur. You get a panel maybe dedicated to them fighting. I like actually that there's a bit of continuity. So over here, if you look at Miss Marvel, she's about to unleash her beam, and then in the middle panel, she unleashes it on one of the people. You see Doctor Strange is up and about. He's got the crimson bands on. That looks like it's, I don't know, one of the other guys. I've forgotten the name already. But yeah. So there's a lot of action here. Not much.
Yeah, he gets it. He gets it right to the face in that one. That's pretty graphic.
Yeah.
And D-Man just gets tied up.
Oh, that is D-Man. Yeah.
Got up early.
Yeah. So, I mean, the action's a bit here and there. Basically, the main conflict happened with words, with Wonder Man and Captain America, kind of that whole tension bit where he says, stand down, and Wonder Man's going, you don't have authority over me. That's a main kind of conflict.
Yeah,
so, I don't know. Any other final points for this, or any other little marks for Moon Knight? I didn't even see him fight Moon Knight.
No, I don't think so either. I think that he was, you know what? So the fight takes place at Citi Fields, which is where the New York Mets baseball team plays.
Okay.
And as we know, Moon Knight is a member of the Avengers West Coast alumni.
Yes.
And in a famous Avengers West Coast annual, it starts with the Avengers versus West Coast Avengers baseball game.
Oh.
And Moon Knight wasn't playing in that. I forget which annual it was. It might have been the first one. So perhaps Moon Knight, unbeknownst to them, didn't realize there was a big fight going to break out. He goes into the indoor batting cages inside Citi Fields, and he's just practicing his swing. Unbeknownst to him, he doesn't realize there's all this crap going on outside.
Well,
I think that's why.
Acoustically sealed, so he doesn't hear any of the stuff. The rumbles, it could be the trains nearby. He's
got the earbuds in. He's listening to Jock Jams Volume 19. Getting pumped up.
So no sign of Moon Knight there. A little bit of fighting. I don't know. This is a bit of a mixed bag for me. This issue, this annual, Matt.
Yeah.
How about?
I will listen. I'm going to agree with you on that, and I liked some of the things. I thought that, I felt a little shortchanged with some of the characters, Demon and Demon Knight or something, Demon Hunter. They don't strike fear into my heart. I like what they were doing with Wonder Man.
Yep.
But it didn't feel like an annual to me. I don't know. It just felt like an issue. It didn't have the obvious, tell us if it's connected to the new Avengers one. If we wanted to read more, give me some editor's notes. Give me some little mini stories. Maybe some galleries at the end. This is what I look for in an annual.
Yes.
This just seemed like, it didn't even seem like that long an issue. It was just a sort of a regular issue. I mean, I guess, what do we have? Pages. It's like 30.
It's usually meant to be 42 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, this is 30 pages.
So that's not an annual at all.
I feel like some annuals are 64 pages.
Oh yes,
too.
You're right. Yeah. I feel the same as well. The whole thing that this is an annual, it doesn't feel like an annual, exactly as you say. I reckon there'd be a lot more satisfaction reading what is before and after this and piecing it all together. Look, typical to a lot of Bendis stuff where everything is really reliant on the prior issues and the future issues to get your big picture. I know he's not the only one that does it, because writers do long arcs and stuff, but you still get, in an annual, you still get kind of like a rounded story that you can kind of enjoy as is. For me, again, it felt like we were kind of thrust into this in the middle. Although, actually, having said that, I'm kind of going back a bit. I mean, it does take a while you get recapped as to what happens. I mean, I guess the closure to this annual is that Simon Williams gets caught and they defeat them. That's fair enough, but I don't know. It just didn't seem like an annual to me.
No, and it did. The closure didn't feel super close to me, because I was looking and I'm like, all right, so what happens? He's not just going to get contained in here, is he? But
he disappears though. He turns into white light, and then it says literally "end" at the end of, or has the Avengers sign at the end. So if I can slowly trawl through these pages here, Matt. So you see, he just fades to white, and it's that's the end of the story.
Empty bubble. He's gone. Okay,
he's gone.
So it's open-ended, I guess.
It's open-ended. Yeah. I don't know. Let's give a rating here, Matt. If you if you so please. I'll let you go first.
Of course.
So a mixed bag. No Moon Knight, very little Moon Knight, but it still has a lot of strong qualities. The art was great. Simon Williams, Wonder Man, action, and some good dialogue. But what would you give this Avengers Annual Volume 4, Issue 1?
Well, I'm not gonna give it the colorful language of the what is it, the big fuck off moon. I'm not gonna give it a big fuck off moon.
Well, that's reserved for the very best. The very best.
Yeah, I'll say it's a solid. I'll give it a solid round boy. I'm not gonna say it's as solid as I thought, but
okay.
Again, I feel a little shortchanged with the annual content in terms of pages, other stories there. But I had fun reading it. I picked it up, and I didn't connect with all of my old friends. I thought Steve Rogers was a little uncap-like, a little bit too much of a politician, I think. But
yeah.
A solid round boy. It wasn't quite a getting small moon, but it was a little solid round boy for me in the Connor Shoe rating system, of course.
Alrighty, so Matt gives that a solid round boy. It's a 7 out of 10. Look, I'm going to be maybe a little harsher. I can't fault the writing of it. It's very intelligently written. Like the characters, they don't just talk about, waffle. It's quite articulate what they say, and there's Bendis juggles a lot of characters. Some fade into the distance a little bit, or into the shadows, i.e. Moon Knight, and you can argue Spider-Man as well, and Wolverine. Where the hell was he? Like they just disappear. So there's a cast of thousands, but we essentially get the original Avengers. So it focuses in on Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. We get a pissed off Wonder Man, but I'm just going to give this half a moon. I think a 5 out of 10. I was going to give it more 5.5, but more closer to 5 than 6. So it was enjoyable. It was fun. I'd like to read the greater arc of it. Judging this as an issue and as an annual, I feel we were a little shortchanged. So yeah, but I can't fault the art. I love the look of Wonder Man in this, and again, the classic costume of Hawkeye. I felt if they used maybe, and this is just me telling them how to do their job, if Bendis used more flamboyant villains, or maybe more recognizable villains, that would be a lot more fun. But I found the stuff like Devil Slayer and it's the other guy, Century or something. I don't know who you are. Yeah. So I've got no vested interest in you, other than maybe Atlas and D-Man.
Yeah, I feel like I think I maybe had read something about Centurion. I forget if he was like the super powerful guy that they got to find help from in Civil War. That's kind of blockaded in his mansion. I forget. It could be a different guy.
Yeah, I can't remember. There's a whole heap of...
It seemed familiar to me, yeah. But I agree. Kind of B grade. You'd think that Wonder Man could gather some more some heavy hitters.
Yeah, like there's so many characters within the Avengers realm. You can get a lot of other pissed off, Avengers.
What about Sandman? He's a former Avenger, current bad guy.
Get Quicksilver. He's always up for going up against So
I think he has a rock in his shoe. He's kind of.
Yeah,
salty sometimes.
So, very salty. So, I'll get Namor. Speaking of salty, get Namor, get the Submariner. He'd love a fight.
Yeah.
So you could just have all these kind of
salt water.
You could have all these characters, but we're stuck with these other kind of, I don't know, kind of no names. So yeah.
I mean, they're sort of henchmen for the big bad Wonder Man, I guess. Yeah. But.
Well, I mean, they concede pretty quickly. I mean, it's not like they die for the cause. Like, once Wonder Man's contained, you see Tom Foster going, okay, yeah, I'll give up. It's like, geez, that was quick.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, there you go, loony listeners.
Now, let me just point this out, Ray. Now, you have 2 different rating systems. Now, there are, I'm sure you've gone through them, the vanilla and the Connor Shoe. Mm-hmm. But in the vanilla rating system, 5 is a half moon. Mm-hmm. In the Khonshu rating system, 5 is a half the moon.
I know. Khonshu.
That's pretty close.
Well,
he's
playing silly buggers, Khonshu. I don't know what he's doing there. He kind of got us on that. I think it was the last episode. Rebecca chose the 5, and we had a hell of a time trying to. Oh, well, no, actually, I was disappointed. I wanted kind of.
Which rating system did Rebecca use?
Exactly. Oh,
you gotta call it like half a moon, yeah.
Half a moon.
Is that a thing?
Half a moon. Half the moon. I don't know. It's a bit off. I'll have to have words with Khonshu.
But either way, it's half the rating because it's number 5.
Exactly, and it's dead easy to average out as well. So a 6 out of 10 for both of us. So easy. I love it. I love easy maths. So there you go, loonies. Check it out. I always say check it out, whether it's good or bad. Be the judge yourself. If you do like these characters, you might find a lot more in it. As I said, the art is really cool. Unfortunately, very little Moon Knight, but this is what the other side of the moon is all about. So there we go, Matt. You are. I think we've only done like 1 or 2 of these segments. So this would have to be the most briefest appearances of Moon Knight I think ever.
Oh my goodness, this is almost like. We in the early days of the Quantum Zone Quasar specific podcast, we tried to follow Quasar adventures or appearances in other books.
Yeah.
And he's in like one panel of New Warriors number 1. We read that whole issue for some reason.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we've done it yet. Maybe we have. It's a blur. We've done over 100 and something episodes.
Yeah.
There's a Web of Spider-Man, like part 5 in a 5-part story. And I collected all 5 issues just because I knew Moon Knight was in the last one. Or, no, sorry, Quasar was in the last one. And I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be good. And Quasar is plowing snow with this quantum snow plow in New York City for one panel. That's all he did.
There you go.
I went to multiple comic book stores. So that's sort of like, at least Moon Knight got to say hell. He got to look back at Wolverine, you know.
But it's always a bit of a fizzer, I guess. But for the people technical or the real aficionados, that is an appearance. So Quasar snow plowing, that's it. You notch it up to an appearance. That's an official appearance. So Looney's, not much feedback here, other than I just wanted to shout out Orion from Instagram. He did mention he remembered this arc of the Revengers because, as I mentioned, Matt, it had one of the briefest appearances of Anti-Venom as well, Eddie Brock as Anti-Venom. So, so thanks for that little tidbit, Orion. Very cool indeed. Well, I mean, that pretty much wraps it, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. We had a few technical issues, but we managed to. I think it was Wonder Man playing silly buggers with our technology, but we managed to have I guess a fair enough review of this really weird issue for Moon Knight fans, to say the least.
Yeah. It was not. I mean, if you're a Moon Knight fan and you find out he's in the Avengers Annual, and you throw your $17 down on the counter or whatever an annual cost in 2012, you might be a little annoyed at the lack of Moon Knight. But I feel like you still got a decent.
He's still there.
Decent issue, not annual, if you read through the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, the completionists will. I'd probably let this one slide in my collection. Let's just say that. Happy to just read it digitally. But yeah, I mean, we have many different loonies out there. Matt, once again, a big thank you. Where can people hear your dulcet tones if they would want to hear you talk more comics or otherwise?
Well, you can find some of the podcasts that I've done. All right, I'll give you 2 options, 3 options. But if you're not already available, if you're not really familiar with the Quantum Zone, the Quasar podcast we've mentioned many times, we do that. We read a Quasar book. It's like an audio book with cheeky commentary and bad voices, and sometimes we forget who is who or when we're talking. But I did a podcast project. I do it once a year in the month of October, where my wife Yael Gavish and I watch a horror movie a day. We put out 31 podcasts in October, so we did that. And I also did a podcast that it's kind of over, but I did have a lot of fun with it, where we talked to comedians, called Backstage at the Naked Comedy Showcase, which you can find around. That podcast only came out once a month, and the venue that we recorded in, Improv Boston, that had the show, has closed their doors temporarily, like many businesses in this pandemic, unfortunately. But hopefully they'll be back at another place when and if things get back to normal. So, but you can listen to the podcast in the meantime, Backstage at the Naked Comedy Showcase. You can find that all just by following me at Matt Kona, MattkKona. I don't even know how to spell my name. It's only 8:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time.
Well, you've got a pretty it's very easy to remember. Looney's just his name, Matt Kona, MattkKona, on both Instagram and Twitter. Those handles, they do work. So, but as always, I'll put everything in the show notes, so you're just a click away from seeing Matt and Yale review some very good and some very bad horror films.
Plenty of bad.
I want to see that one. Oh God, what was the one? The Babysitter. Actually, I want to see that one.
Oh yeah.
She's the daughter of Agent Smith, you know.
Oh,
Mr. Anderson from The Matrix.
Yeah.
Leaving. Yeah. Aussie.
It's great.
Anyway, next phase, Loonies, we have a full moon. Can you believe it? So werewolves are out, all that sort of thing. We've got the Moon and Stars, Moon Knight on film, and we'll be joined by Chad, the power of Chad, and Alex Robson from Spider-Man the Animated Series podcast. We finally get there, Matt. We finally do our audio commentary on Season 3, Episode 3, Vengeance of Venom, with Moon Knight in the cartoon. As a long time coming. Yeah, well, I invited Alex on, 5-6 months ago, and we started playing the audio, the video, the episode, and about 10 minutes in, we figured out that it was the wrong episode. So no Moon Knight. It was episode 1. So we just persevered. We went through it. It was fun anyway. It was great to talk to Alex. So since then, we've done episode 2. We've finally done episode 3 with Moon Knight. So go check it out, Loonies. You'll get more Moon Knight than you did in this issue. Believe me. That is next week. That should be fun. Already done and dusted. A big thanks again to the Patronies. Check out our page, patreon.com/ITK Moon Knight. There's a lot of incentives there to join. A lot of extra bonus material. You can see the unedited version of this episode, things like that, on Patreon. Also, again, a big sponsor to Hello Headphones. If you use the code ITK Moon Knight, you'll get 10% off their store. And Dreamland Comics, if you use the code Moon, you'll get 20% off their store of back issue comics. We're also an affiliate member of Entertainment Earth, so any of your toy action figure needs, just click the link and that will help the show. And we are members of the collective, so the other great shows out there, like Capes and Lunatic Sidekicks, the Quantum Zone, a Quasar podcast, and like We Are Venomaniacs, a Venom podcast. There's a whole treasure trove of shows there for you. Go check it out. It's all in our notes. And finally, you can email us on itkmoonnight@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Get Vocal. We've got a couple of websites on Libsyn and WordPress, and we're on Podchaser as well. So incidentally, if you'd like to leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, please do so, and it gets us out there to more loonies. Once again, Matt, a huge thank you for the early wake up and the fun chat as well. Love to have you back on. Love to have you back on for a bit more Moon Knight centric stuff as well.
Thank you. I would gladly come back to talk some more Moon Knight. I tried to, pontificate about his baseball playing career. We'll see.
That's awesome.
We'll see.
A huge thank you, and as always, loonies, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.